three, so anybody who, do we have enough chairs? Do we have enough seats? There's an empty one there, sir. And there's what, three over there, there's one up front. Okay, so we're gonna get this party started. To start out first, there's a couple of things I wanna mention before we go too far. Number one, we do have food tonight. In this facility, we are required, we, meaning me, and usually a few others, we have to vacuum the floor. So please be careful when you're eating your food. She's taking me over here.
Now you're on the camera.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, they don't need to see me. So please be careful when you're eating your food. Also garbage can, we only have one, because again, in this facility, we have to empty all the garbage cans. It makes it a lot easier for those of us who pack up, once everyone leaves, the less we have to do, the better. So make sure you use the garbage can that's over there where Barb is standing. Barb, can you wait? Thank you. So if we could just be really careful tonight, it just makes it a whole lot easier on those of us who close up the meeting. Let me look at my list real quick. Okay, then Barbara's gonna talk about our holiday dinner coming up in a month. There has been some changes that she just found out this afternoon. So here she is.
Yes, I come bearing bad news. And all of it. Okay. I got a call this afternoon about 2:30 from Vanessa Good, who is the chef at Prosser, who caters our dinner. And Prosser has pulled a class, a special class on December 1st, 2nd, and 4th that she only found out about this afternoon. So if the kitchen's closed, they cannot cater for us. We have a couple of options that we put together. We can make this a pitch-in with master gardeners providing the meat. And you can just bring, we'll have a sign-up sheet if we decide to do that. And still have it at Prosser on the 2nd. We can change it to Wednesday night and Prosser will cater it for us. So that's our basically our options. It's up to you all whether you want to change the night or keep it on the same night and take our own food in there. So it's, I'm putting it out, but I guess it's just up to you all to make a suggestion, what you want to do.
I suggest taking our food in and not having them,
Keep it in Prosser and take our own food in.
unless we go somewhere else and pick up.
Well, another option was to come here, because we have the kitchen here that we can use too. And I don't know if we can get a caterer, you know, we're gonna get it for $22. I don't think we can get a caterer this late for that price.
Do we know if this is available?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's the thing.
That might be happening.
We don't know if this is available. So I think what we need to do is take a vote. Who wants to keep it on Tuesday?
I'll do it.
Okay, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, the list to keep, yeah, that's, we had option one is keep it on Tuesday and make it a pitch in at Prosser. With, yes, I asked her today, can we bring in food? And she said, yes.
Cause they haven't done.
They have really?
Yeah, we had to buy it, bring it repackaged.
Okay, that's not what she told me today, so. We may
I
have
think
to
it's
get.
because, I honestly think it's because they put us in this bind. They're making an exception, would be my guess.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Yes,
When you asked her, did you specify kitchen food, or did she assume it was another caterer?
no, I did not mention another caterer. I said, can we bring our own treats? That's what I said. So now, I don't know whether she's taking that as just treats like we have this, you know, here, or whether we can bring in other food.
Get that clarified.
I think we need to get some clarification before we put it out to everybody. I think that's a good idea, Lisa.
Like when you here, when we need to do
Yeah, I didn't ask her that either.
Yeah, they set up all those big tables and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so, it's up to you all. This is the information I have as of today. Like I say, I only got it at 2:30 this afternoon, and I was in the middle of a card game, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of investigating.
Did you win?
No, I did not. Came in third out of four, that's not good. So,
I don't think it's that bad to move it over one day and then let them do it all like the today.
it's up to you all, Unless, do you want to call it, I'm not sure we can actually call it until we get all the information though. All right, let's put it to this, if House would be able to come on Wednesday or would want to come and have Prosser still catered for us at the $22. We'll take three.
I don't think it's as go.
Almost, yeah, one, okay, hold your hands up high.
Is this for Wednesday?
For Wednesday. Nineteen, 19, okay, I may have missed one, okay. Should we go with another option? How many would be against going on Wednesday night?
Okay, I can't come up, we can't come up with.
Sometimes, yeah, now that's a problem. Vanessa did reserve the room for us on Wednesday night if we wanted to. So raise your hands again for changing it to Wednesday night. I mean,
Keep it on Tuesday.
even on Tuesday.
Even on Tuesday, do a pitch.
Hold your hands up high, so-
Keep it on Tuesday. We can bring it in.
Keep it on Tuesday, presuming that we can bring in food, our own cooked food, yes. Okay,
Yeah, Terry.
Yeah, Terry. Like it's.
it's close.
Are we here? What about Zoom land?
No, it's not. Some people then have not to be there tonight,
Right, yeah. All right, what would be the drop dead time for making a decision? I mean, I know we'd like to do it tonight, but if we can't,
Friday.
by Friday.
It's Tuesday. Where's
I
that?
mean,
Yeah. Can you have Gene send out exalters to people and vote that way?
Send out a what now?
Exalters.
I don't know what that is, but okay, I'll get it.
The online survey,
Surveys.
okay.
Sure,
That
I'll
working?
reach
If
out
we
to
have-
Sarah.
Ask Sarah or Gina to send out a survey and vote that way, and then we will get an email out to you and say, okay, it's either gonna be on Tuesday night with our own food or Wednesday night with Prosser catering it. Okay, if that's okay with you, then we'll hold off on making a decision. Okay, sorry to give you that bad news, but like I said, I got it at 2:30 this afternoon, so not much I can do. Sorry to take your time.
Okay, so with that being said, we are not gonna collect money tonight, is that correct, Barb? Because we don't know what the cost is gonna be. So we also, that's another thing we gotta think about is when do we need the money by?
We pay that night. But we had said, Mike, what did we say, the Friday?
We always have.
We had
You're gonna have to get a date from Prosser now. And since they changed it, they gotta give us a new date, okay?
well, we don't pay them till that night.
Yeah, we pay them that night.
But
Billy's talking about the members. pay.
The members paying.
members pay.
Right, but they need accounts.
Yeah, we're gonna be liable for the.
Oh, the
the
account,
that
yeah,
they have.
that's. I've got to have that by the 17th, I think that's. No, yes, the 17th. We just, what, a couple weeks.
So again, we need to get all that information to Gina.
15, I gotta have it 2 days ahead. I gotta have it, so I know.
Okay,
So we'll send out an email with all the details so that you guys know once we figure all this out. Because obviously, like Barb said, we just were hit with this afternoon. So we, even as a board, haven't, I literally walked in and found out just when I walked in this afternoon. So we'll figure it out. We'll get an email out to everyone, what the decision is made, okay?
I know it's.
And thank you, Barb. Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, it's out of our control. Okay, now we need Margie to announce our speaker. Thank you.
Two sons.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, it's my pleasure tonight to welcome Paula Hanson as our speaker on Houseplants 101. Paula would have to have a lifelong love of plants. She opened her shop above the dirt garden and honey shop on Taylorsville Road about 4 years ago. She has raised bees for about 7 years, so now she also can sell her own honey. And she calls herself an enthusiastic hobbyist and loves to share her love of nature by talking about native plants, house plants, and pollinators. Tonight, Paula will inspire us with her focus on house plants. Welcome.
Well done. I have a mic. Yeah, did everybody get a handout? Yes, all right, fun. So, yeah, as she mentioned, our garden shop has been open about 4 years. So we are a non-invasive garden shop, so that's our specialty. So we either sell native plants or non-invasive plants only in regards to what goes outside. So we're specialists in the pollinator gardens, we do the veggies and the herbs and all of that stuff as well. I started my gardening journey just on like a hay bale vegetable garden. And grew like 2 squash plants. It was like, there's power in this. You know, like, it was just fun to be able to grow something that I could eat. Then, you know, I've done quite a few gardens over the years. Had a bunch of kids, so I didn't have a garden for a little while. I actually spent 20 years in the hairdressing industry. And so I'm a hairdresser by trade. And what I did mostly in hairdressing was I traveled around actually doing classes like this, but for salon owners on systems and how to run your business. Did that for 20 years. The pandemic broke everything. Decided to change careers, drove by this old gas station in the dead middle of J-Town's gaslight district that looked a hot mess. It was just not kept up. There used to be an auto repair shop that had moved out. And I had just been arguing with my husband because I found this like $1 million land and I was gonna put all these greenhouses on it, but we don't have millions of dollars. And so we had a big argument about it. Like, you used to dream with me, like, you know what? And that same day I drove past the gas station and so did he. Had just emptied out. We both thought we might not be able to pull off, you know, acres of greenhouses, but maybe we could put a plant store in that old little gas station. And so we did. So we rented it. We just hit our 4-year mark. The very first thing we did is just load in all the like normal plants you hear about outside, and then all the house plants that I was excited about inside. And then a lady couldn't even tell you who she is. In that fall, she said, "Have you ever thought of selling native plants instead of these invasive plants?" And it was the first time I had ever heard the word native plant. I didn't know it was a thing. And so I bought Douglas Tallamy's book, first book, second book, third book, fourth book, you know, read them and I was like, oh, nobody even knows what we are anyway as a garden shop. I can just completely change and it wouldn't affect anything. So we actually threw away a ton of plants that we had bought because we had no idea that they were invasive. Since then, we've gotten really involved with Blackacre, the nature preserve that's right there on the outskirts of J-Town. My husband's on the board and very involved in that as well. And we've become, that's why we call ourselves enthusiastic hobbyists, not horticulturists. I'm just a plant lady and I got really interested in it and learned a lot really, really fast. And so the way I view my job is really just trying to make, you know, the native plant pollinator garden kind of hit like a normal level, if you will. We aren't converting everybody's grass to prairies because that's not realistic in a lot of HOAs and things. But what we want to just do is make, you know, better steps every single time with what we're selling. And then we are open all year. And all year we have houseplants, but in the winter, our focus really turns to houseplants only and honey. We have honey all year. And so I do have some honeybees myself. I'm really good at killing honeybees. Killed a lot of honeybees in my time. So I have 3 hives right now. We're overwintering. I do have enough. We're able to harvest some, but as a business, we actually partner with a ton of farmers. And so I sell very little of my own honey, but we have everything from like regional blends that we add, like spicy honey and bourbon honey and all that to cinnamon, vanilla and lavender, elderberry. We do all these fun things with it. And then we also partner directly with farmers and resell their pure honey because we have a retail shop where we can do that all year long. And then we host other farmers that, and like have a sourdough bread baker lady and like all these things that come into our business. So really just a real community vibe. And so we're right on Taylorsville Road in the Gaslight District. You ever been to Gaslight? We're one of those gas stations. Everything in J-Town used to be a gas station or a car lot. So we're one of them right there next door to Papa John's. But the focus of tonight is houseplants 101. And so the first thing that I learned pretty quickly, my first year at the garden shop, is that every different plant type has a different community of people. So I like vegetable gardening and herb gardening and flowers and houseplants, but most people are kind of in a lane. You have like your vegetable gardeners that also do some other stuff. You have your landscape people that also do a little stuff. You have your houseplant people that have never picked up a shovel. Ever. You know, they're houseplant people. And so we have customers that literally only come for months. Only come for spring hanging baskets. Only annuals. And so it's been really interesting to me as I've talked to more and more gardening groups, that you tend to cluster with people that like the same type of things that you like, right? And so I would like to get a gauge of this room. How many of you all would say like you're a houseplant person? Sort of, 2 or 3, yeah. Anyone borderline houseplant expert? No, okay, got it, okay. Very cool. So for some of you all, we might cover some things, and you're like, well, yeah, I know that. But there is a unique way we look at houseplants, and that's what we're gonna cover tonight. So first things first, I don't believe houseplants should have any guilt attached or associated with them. If that houseplant dies, throw it away. It's not a puppy. It's not another one. If it doesn't bring you joy anymore, give it to a friend. That I know it's a living thing, but it is intended to bring you joy and energy and loveliness into your home, not guilt because you killed it. If you get into houseplants, you will kill houseplants. If you get into honeybees, you will kill honeybees. Like there is a loss to all of this plant material that we do, and houseplants are absolutely like they're not immune to that at all. The second thing to realize is that none of these plants want to be here. None of them want to be in a pot, and none of them want to be in your house. So that's why there's all these rules about how to take care of houseplants and all these different soils and all these different things. Because if we treat them as if nature had intended, they wouldn't be here in the first place. They would be out and about. Plus, there's a bunch of them that aren't even real. For example, this is a Calathea network. This is never grown outside in nature in any environment ever. Scientists put this stuff together. I don't know how. It's really cool. But they make these different fancy leaves and they become popular houseplants. But this isn't something we dug up in the jungle somewhere, put in soil and then passed around. Some of them are, like little golden pothos. So that actually grows in the wild. But a lot of your houseplants don't. They're scientifically created from things that did exist in nature. They splice them together. And the more we mess with them, the finickier, generally, that they get. And that's when your rules start to increase. So that's why there's the first question on your handout is what is your plant parent style? So the one myth I want to debunk is that there's such thing as easy plants and difficult plants. It's more about does the plant fit your style of parenting? So I'll give you an example. They're like active pyramid. I have 3 kids. Fourth grader, second grader, kindergartner. They all just had birthdays, so I have no idea how old any of them are. But that's the grade they're in school. And personally, for me, newborns and babies are very, very easy. It was not a stressful time in my life. I can go right back to sleep. All of the drama that people shared about newborns didn't really apply to me. But these 3, 4, 5-year-olds are which is what most people say is when it gets easier. Because they can talk and they can communicate, but I'm like, they're talking. But you know, like they're not just doing what I say, I can't just force it. And so, but it actually got a lot easier for my husband. So the newborns to me are very, very, almost easy, but they stress my husband out. Well, now that the kids are older, my husband's fine, he'll take all 3. Doesn't even, I'm like, I have all 3 and I'm going to remember, like I can't, it's just so many words. So many words, right? So it's just different, parenting stuff. It just is what it is. We're all a little different. That's kind of the same thing when it comes to plants. They're a lot like kids. Some want to be just left alone, and some want a lot of nurturing. So depending on your style, you're going to thrive with different types of houseplants. So the very first plant parent style would be like the helicopter hovering plant parent. You get a plant because you want to love on it, you want to touch it, you want to water it, you want to play with it. Every time you have a glass in your hand, you're like, ooh, you know, like that. It's always involved. So that's gonna be like a thirstier, a caregiver type of plant parent. If you give that plant parent what we're gonna air quote is an easy plant, okay, which cactuses, succulents, your snake plants, your mother-in-law tongue. Those are always called easy plants. But they actually require a deep and meaningful dry period. And if you throw your glass of water on it every time you walk by, they'll rot in like a week. You can kill a cactus in a day and a half. So that's not easy. They just thrive on neglect. It's the wrong match. Does that make sense? Some of it too has to do with where you put it in your home. So if you have a plant sitting right by your kitchen sink, you're gonna overwater it. You're gonna overwater it. It is right by your water. You're gonna see it, you're gonna water it, you're gonna see it in your water. So if that's the case, maybe we don't put a cactus or a dry plant right so close to our water. Or if you put a really, really thirsty plant on your desk with books and papers and then it's a pain to water it because you might make a mess of everything else. Like the environment you put it in, this all goes to the very first thing we said is this is meant to bring you joy. So if it's somewhere where it's causing drama, then it doesn't need to be there. And we're gonna share some tricks about how to do that as well. So your very first plant parent style is like your hoverer, your caregiver. So you just need to know you're gonna want plants that are thirstier. You're gonna want plants that probably need to be watered weekly, plants that don't require a dry period. Then let's go to the other end of the spectrum, which is just neglect. I'm gonna forget this plant exists for weeks on end. I'm not gonna dust it, right? Like that, like, I'm not buying it food. You know, we're not gonna have all the extra stuff. It doesn't get its own special light bulb. Not gonna put a humidifier out. But I want something green over there that I will occasionally give water to. So that is gonna be like the other extreme. And so those are gonna be where your easy plants are generally labeled, because they require a deep and meaningful dry period. So that would be your snake plants or your mother-in-law's tongue, your ZZ plants, your cactus, your succulents. All of those require a deep and meaningful dry period, AKA neglect. Now, we're gonna talk about highlight and low light plants too, just so you know, there are no low light plants. There are just plants that die very slowly in low light. Okay, which is fine, because it's a plant. Shove it in the corner, that, you know, we just know 2 or 3 years, all of a sudden one day, that snake plant has been fine. Maybe even at 5 or 6 years, you got lucky, it will just stop. One day it will up and die on you because it has to photosynthesize. It just has to. It's like planting to your outdoor gardeners. It would be like putting a tomato plant in the back corner and being mad it didn't give you a tomato. Well, you need 8 to 10 hours then. Like the plant will grow, you will have greenness, it will exist, but it won't perform in the way that you would expect it to without the right conditions. So then you have the plants in the middle. The plants in the middle are going to be plants, so I'm going to call them resilient plants. So this is going to be the inconsistent plant parent. Week 1, you love that plant to death. It gives all your joy and energy. You buy food sometimes even, you fertilize, you'll repot once every couple years, but also maybe you'll forget about it for 3 weeks. But then you'll love on it a ton again. It can just handle sort of the highs and lows. And this is where we get our group of the most popular houseplants. Your pothos, which your philodendron, your spider plants. All of those, they're a little thirstier. They don't require a deep and meaningful dry period, but they can handle sort of the fluctuations of what kind of goes on in the everyday house. If you do happen to water it every week and it gets too soggy, oops, you can let it dry out. If you do kind of forget to water it, it gets all floppy, oops, you can water it again, and for the most part, it will come back, or you can cut it up. And so those are obviously the most popular houseplants for that reason. You also have this kind of sidebar between the two, which would be like your Dracaena family. Those are gonna be the trees you see in office buildings. They picture the spiky looking things. Those spider plants, nope. Those snake plants and ZZs all photosynthesize really well off of fluorescent lights. And so you see them a lot in offices. And they don't tend to freak out in non-humid environments. Offices don't tend to be humid, so you'll see those in a lot of places. There's also like thousands of different types of Dracaena. So you can get like tabletop versions, or you can get floor models. You can get a lot of different types and sizes. That's sort of your plant parent stuff. There's your 1, 2, 3. You're a lover, you're kind of in the middle, or you're a forgetter. So depending on which one is going to really align with your attention you're going to give to the amount of, I'm going to say the amount of water, the amount of days between watering. There's a big difference in the amount of water. Okay, the amount of days between watering and the amount of effort you're going to put into the humidity in your environment. And that's becoming very important right now as we transition into winter and you turn your heaters on. So when you turn your heaters on, depending on how you heat your home, most of your like normal houseplants, not the crazy weird fancy ones that people spend $400 on, but just your normal houseplants want to be in your 50 to 60% resting humidity range, which, I mean, in the summer, it's more than that in life. So spring, plants are fine. There's more light, they're excited. Summer, plants are loving it because naturally they're getting the humidity that they want. Because in general, even if it's a made up plant, all of these came from something of the tropical rainforest. That's why they're a house plant. We'll call them they're not even a perennial. They're intended to never be deciduous. They just stay alive because they're in the tropics. So we put them as house plants because we have a consistent temperature in our home. They like humidity. They all will thrive with more humidity. The moment you turn your heaters on, your house is anything like mine, because we do fireplace with actual wood fireplace, it'll get down to like 10% or less humidity. So 10% resting humidity is when like we're talking nosebleeds, dry cuticles, like your body's not, your itchy back, your body's not happy either. If you're getting the symptoms of dryness, all of your plants are as well. And so and by the way, I used to be a hairdresser. So just so you know, your scalp and your skin want a humidifier in your house. They very much do. Very, 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 very much. Especially if you're over the age of 27. That's the break. Just so you know, for skin. 27. So after 27, just a while ago for me, you need a humidifier. It's great for your lungs, it's great for your nasal passages, but it's really awesome for your skin, your cuticles, your nails, your hair, your scalp, and your houseplants. They all want you to have a humidifier. And so you have your caletheas, we haven't talked about them yet, your prayer plants, your marantas, even like your peace lilies. They want some more humidity. So if you notice, which is happening right now while turning our heat on, that you start to get dry, the same thing is happening to your plant. And it gets weird quick because your watering schedule also changes. So let's talk about humidity really quickly, and then we'll switch to talk about pops. When a plant, and I should have brought one that had symptoms, but I didn't. I only brought videos. When a plant gets the crispy round edges on the outside, notice when it's happening. If it's at the beginning of winter, it's humidity. It's humidity. Don't inbox me, it's humidity. Move it out of the pack of your heat and air vent, and it will get better. Now, the new leaves will be better. There's no really curing those old leaves. But here's what happens, like emotionally, if you will, when we see that. We see dry edges and go, I need to water that plant. So then we water it, nothing has changed in the humidity level. And it gets worse. So we water it again, and it gets worse because nothing has changed with humidity. And then you have a very dead plant because it has root rot. Because you've overwatered it. So this will happen in the next month in your life. When you turn your heaters on, take a lap around your house and look and see if you have any leaves blowing in the wind. They can tolerate the air conditioner a smidge better than they can the heater. Now, it depends on your air conditioning vent too. Some of those blow such cold air that it freezes out the tropical plants. But my house is not that new, so I don't have that problem. So your plants want 50 to 60% resting humidity. Paula's personal opinion. The only way to achieve that is with a humidifier. Misting your plant makes it wet for a short period of time. It does not create a humid environment whatsoever. Paula's personal opinion. You can do whatever you want. Pebble trays tend to cause more bug problems than they're worth. If we've been there with the fungal gnats, we've been there with the fungal gnats, okay? Again, there's never been a study that I've read that's ever said it's a measurable difference in humidity. Now, a hot pot on the stove, that counts, because you're actually putting humidity like into the air. But the other recommendation the internet will tell you is clustering your plants close together. I mean, sure, but the problem is if you have all these leaves touching now, you're gonna get mold. You're gonna get mildews and you're gonna get fungal diseases. If anything, plants want a nice breeze. So just a little bit of air movement and a humidifier, if you're getting into a plant collection, would be a big deal. Or throw in your shower, right, wherever you're showering, wherever it might be. A lot of your plants that are very popular in houseplants respond, they take a long time to respond negatively to humidity. Your pothos, your spider plants, your snake plants. It takes them a while to react. And so by the time March gets here and they're really getting sad, your mood is so into spring, you don't care, they'll just chuck it about doing. And that's also fine. It's fine, like they're houseplants. Like it's meant to be, especially those are your lesser expensive plants too. I mean, you can get a ton of pothos, you know, like, and then you cut them up and they make a bunch of babies. Yes,
I know ceiling fans.
ceiling fans are great. That's just air movement. It's when the wind is blowing too cold or too hot and dry. But yeah, ceiling fan is actually wonderful for plants. People that have like plant rooms with lights and all the things have 2 or 3 oscillating fans in there on purpose. Okay, so next let's talk about pots real quick because it really changes things a lot. And there's a lot of opinions about pots. So I'll share with you what they're designed for and then my opinion, and then you can do whatever you want in your house because it's yours. The 2 main types of pots are going to be what we call cash pots or catch pots. There's no hole. There's no hole. You can also call this a cover pot. The other type of pot has a drainage hole. Now, if you want to get in the weeds of it, we can start talking about different types of material, because terracotta absorbs moisture fast, and but like for the easiest sake of no one in here said they're plant experty, does it have a hole or not? Okay, the way they're designed to be used is that it does not have a hole, so we call it a cover pot. That didn't bring a small enough plant for the cover pot. Well, here, pretend this one has no hole. This is a cover pot. It's meant to be used like this. Nailed it. It covers the pot. Now, it also should be the right size, but no, each we get one. So this is, I love these. It is my favorite type of pot because I like to pull the pants down on plants. I like to squeeze the nursery pot and pull pants off and see what's happening. Way less guessing when you can see the roots. That's really hard to do when you plant into a ceramic planter. You have to let it get very, very dry so it pulls away. Then you have to dig it out and there's injury involved. Like it's a whole thing. But if you just keep it in a nursery pot and cover it with something cute, you can check the roots of your plant at literally any time. And you can take it out of this cover pot, wherever it might be in your house, and sass it over to the sink or your shower and give it a really good drenching. We're gonna talk about watering in a moment. And then let it drain, let it drain, let it drain, and then put it back. And you don't have water running down things, you don't get all those drip trays that get gross. You just get to use the nursery pot for all of that. The plant doesn't care if it's in a nursery pot. Plastic is great for plants. It is always the same. Where you have different ceramics and different terracottas and all, and they can change the way they react to that moisture. Plastic is just really measurable and really easy. So I'm a big fan of cover pots. I also get a lot of arguing from customers over the amount of them I sell. Because you can't plant in them. And a lot of people like to plant in their pots. If you plant into a pot without a hole, you have to be really precise and diligent with the amount of water you put in there because there's nowhere for it to go. And then you get root rot and all the things. So it's not impossible. By all means, do whatever you want to do. You can plant one of these. It's just if you overwater it, then you're like trying to pull the plant in and like dump the water out, and people get creative with different things they shove in there that absorb water. Yeah. So there's just it's not the easiest. But cover pots are another reason I love cover pots is they match your room really cute. And if you get plants are often sold like 4-inch pots. 6-inch pots, they're standard. And so you can have a plant system where this one is in the bathroom this week, and this one's here, and this one's there. None of them are getting right on a light, but next week we switch. And next week we switch. And so you can just move your plants all around, and they're getting the different amount of light and the different amount of humidity that they need, but your pot can stay like aesthetically pleasing to the color pattern of your room. You can keep it in line. If you're planting in a pot with no hole, one of the things the internet will tell you is to put a little gravel on the bottom. Don't do that. No gravel. No gravel, no marbles in the bottom of any pot. Here's why. Because they've done enough, it is not intuitive and it is not what you expect. But I've seen the studies, I've read the reports, smarter people than me, I'm speaking their words, not mine. But it's proof in the pudding. What happens is the soil forms a new bottom right over top of the gravel, and the water just stops there anyway. It's just a new bottom. So then when you water, everything goes right around it, just flows around. Or stays on that little shelf and just root rots you. Now, what you can put in the bottom of your pot is leca, terracotta, lava rock. All of those are porous substances. They pull water. We'll compare it to hair again. Hair is porous, right? Your skin dries faster than your hair. If you got out of the shower and did nothing, your skin would be dry and your hair would be wet because your hair is more porous. It pulls water into itself. Then you put a towel onto your hair, and the towel is more porous than your hair and it pulls water out of your hair. You following? Gravel does that none. Marbles does that none. Leca, clay, terracotta is porous. It literally pulls water into itself. So if you want to fill up the bottom of a big pot, little pot, any pot, outdoor, indoor, whatever it might be, it needs to be with a substance that has the ability to pull water. And so like the lava rocks people use in landscaping, they're great, just don't get the red ones. Because they put red juice everywhere, and I learned that the hard way. It was not pleasant. So lots of red juice outside. But you can do the lava rocks. You can break up terracotta. Bricks aren't bad. They're not great. Bricks are good in the bottom of like big outdoor things that you want to weigh down. So you use all that soil. And bricks leave such big gaps in between that if you get the soil in there, soil's porous and it'll pull something down. There's no marbles, no gravel, no smooth stones. It has to be porous. You can put those in the bottom, a pot with a hole as well if you want to. If you like to put pebbly things in the bottom, you're welcome to. It is not necessary. The only reason I would really do it generally is if I need to fill up room in a pot. I also really like, these aren't great, but if you have a big pot, you can take another pot like this, and that fills up a ton of room in the bottom, like terracotta pots in the bottom and stuff like that. But you don't have to. You can also stir those materials into your soil, but that gets very advanced, and this is 101. So we'll stop there. Any questions really quickly about pots? Pot size? Generally speaking, if you're repotting a plant, that's a whole class. But if you're repotting a plant, you want it to be the same size or one size bigger, and that's it for houseplants. And I would say it is a common faux pas of very good outdoor gardeners to give their indoor plants way too much space. They want tight feet, tight shoes, tight pants, for the most part. Okay, there's no competition for these roots. It's very stressful for them to have a pot that's too big. If you go home and you're looking at one of your plants and it's not a tree and it's mostly dirt you see, that pot is too big. For the most part, people repot, at least in my experience, far too soon and far too often. My opinion. Very good. So below the dirt, let's talk about what's down there. The other thing is the type of dirt you use. I have a lot of opinions here, but I don't really care what brand you buy. There's just, I just hate Miracle-Gro so much. It's just so, outdoors, I don't really have as strong of an opinion, but inside the house, whatever makes up their soil does not dry fast enough, and it has so many fungal gnats. It is like beyond bizarre how many like sad plants people come into the store with. Like, what soil is this? It's just like the Miracle-Gro. I don't know what it is, but I just want you to know I hate this stuff. Anything that says indoor mix should be fine, at least in Paul's personal opinion, as long as it's not Miracle-Gro. We do mostly, and most of our plants just use a traditional indoor potting mix. If you get into the specialty collector plants, the things that are, $100, $200, then you need these specialty chunky mixes and you need to amend the soil and, but for anything I've brought here today, I would use a traditional potting mix. I would highly encourage you to never use garden soil in an indoor plant pot. They, again, just don't dry out fast enough and you'll get a lot of bugs. And you surely should never use compost in your indoor plants. Again, the plant might be happy, but it also will be riddled with bugs. Because that soil simply stays wet for too long. Indoor planting mix needs to be like lighter and fluffier. You want, and I intentionally have brought a plant to dub out, you want to be able to like move your soil pretty easily on your houseplants. If you squeeze it, it should not stick together. It should, and that's a real different story when you get outside. But inside, you really want the air to be able to flow through to those roots. Because we're gonna talk about watering, but watering is really more about the amount of dry time you give the roots than it is the amount of water you give the plants. Which is not the way the internet says it and it makes it really confusing. And every app I've ever seen is just beyond difficult. So for the most part, below the dirt, your soil needs to be a houseplant mix and it needs to be something that you can observe drying. So like if you've watered it day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as it goes, you should start to see it getting drier and drier. So when you shove your finger at the top of it, the top should feel dry, and as you go down, it should be more and more wet. It should dry from the top down, pretty easily. Then you'll have happy roots. Roots need air and oxygen just as much as they need water. Now I'm in Louisville, but you have great water up here in Indiana too, right? Right? Is that unless you're in a cistern, which I grew up on a cistern, so sometimes the well waters just can be their own, like their own story. Or if you have pipes that like if you're blonde and you're like, why is my hair yellow now? Also because it's from your pipes, like that. So unless you have odd minerals kind of hiding in your situation, they can just use tap water on these houseplants. If you want to treat them extra special, you can use a little Brita. The water needs to be room temperature. Remember, these are tropical plants, so they don't want cold water. Anti-ice cube, okay, because it's too cold. The only reason, here's why people love ice cubes, because it very slowly waters the plant. So if you do ice cubes, you need to have something else for it to sit on. You don't want that right on the roots. You need some soil or some, hey, that's where we can put our marbles and rocks, like something for that ice not to touch it directly. So your roots, the color of roots are different for every plant. The way roots act are a little bit different in every plant. For the most part, you want your roots to be like a creamy kind of white color. We can pass this around too. I can show the Zoom thing too. Can they see? You want your roots to be like a creamy white color, or reddish. You'll know if it's supposed to be reddish because they'll just be red. And that's just the color of the roots. They don't change colors and things. There's a handful of like dracaenas and stuff that just have like this, it's not red like dead red, but like a reddish kind of color to the roots. But the roots of your plant, so this one we've unrooted. I also like to show this one because plants have babies in different ways. So this is a snake plant. They have the mom plant's the big guy and is literally connected to its baby by a ribosome. So an actual horticulturist would slap me for what I'm about to say. Well, a lot sort of like irises. They just spread that same way. I'm pretty sure there's an actual completely different word for it, but it's the same. So if you all want to see what the underbelly of a snake plant is, do you want me to pass around or is it just gonna make dirt? I'm Sierra. Okay, let's do it. So that's the roots of this plant. If you have, I don't know if this one's gonna pull out for me easily. Yeah, okay. So this is a begonia. This is a plant that doesn't require a short dry period, but is okay with it. And it definitely can get soggy if not. And this is one that's like kind of hard to see the roots. I mean, it just looks like a clot. The roots are almost like the same color of the soil. And that's where it starts to get tricky. And that's why I like to keep things in the nursery pots, guys, because it's hard to tell sometimes. And when I pull the pants off the plant, I can see. And I've harmed nothing. It's 100% back and ready to go. This is a plant that loves humidity. It's a plant that I would keep in the nursery pot and put in a cover pot. The other ways that plants make babies, so we saw the, rhizomal look. This is a philodendron, so it's a cousin to the pothos, they're both aeroids, and they have the nodes. Anybody have little glasses of plants sitting with like the water, maybe just the leaves in there? Anybody? Yes, okay, they're all plants like this. And so there's a node, which is the bump in the stem, and off of that is a root. Sometimes there are roots, there's all these different types of roots. But nonetheless, if you're taking propagations, again, this is a whole different class, but you want to cut it and take the node with you. The node is what's gonna grow you new roots. First, it grows water roots. Once your roots, like the roots in the water, once the roots have roots, then you can transfer it to soil if you'd like. The biggest problem with propagation that people have is they move into soil too quickly. So your plants that trail, for the most part, they're gonna have node. Everywhere there's a leaf, and you can cut it. When you cut your plants, they need a haircut way more often than most people will give them a haircut. What you need to do is not trim the ends like they're a human. You have to come all the way up to the top. So this plant has, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 plants coming out of it. Okay? And when it's time for this one to get a haircut, I want to take all the way up to the top, right here. Take that entire string, I don't care how long it is, if you go all the way to the door. Take it off of the plant. Because then what's gonna happen is right where you cut it. So this is the plant, I cut it, and there's my long string. And I cut it right here. At this point, the odds of that plant growing back and having 2 new growths is very high. So then it gets fuller at the top. You ever had a pothos that sort of got bald headed? All this long hair and it was bald on the top? You can cut it right up top and it's gonna grow out that way. Also, it needed more sunlight, that's why that happened. So lower it, the hanging plants never get enough light on top of their heads. But cut, when you cut your plants, cut them at the top. The spider, she doesn't have any babies. These actually throw off this big long string and have a little baby on the end of it. And on the bottom of that little baby are all the little nodes that you can put in water. Another way you can do all of this with both of these node type plants is you can just put another pot right here and just go doop, with like a hairpin. It has to be a hairpin, not a bobby pin. So a bobby pin is shaped like this and squeeze this. That's gonna hurt your roots. A hairpin is more shaped like a U, or you can get floral pins. The only problem with buying floral pins is they only come in like packs of 300 for 90 cents. And you're like, what am I gonna do with all these? Nonetheless, you can pin it into soil. If it's still connected to the mother plant, it's gonna root much quicker. And then after a month or whatever, you can check your roots, you just cut it right here. And then you just take your new plant with you. You can also do that with the babies that come off of spider plants. It's a really fun way to make plant babies. Very good. So our most common plant problems, and we're pretty good on time, we'll answer questions. Our most common houseplant problems are going to be overwatering. Just about every plant would prefer a short dry period. The way most people write that on the internet as you're researching things is when the top 2 inches of the soil is dry. You read that before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean? What is it? It doesn't mean anything. Because depending on how you planted that plant, the roots could be way down. Where are your roots? Does the top 2 inches of your soil have roots in it, or does it not have roots in it? Like, so if all of your roots, which sometimes plants do this, have gone straight to the bottom. So the bottom is always soggy, but you're rewatering it when just that top is dry. Like, you're literally gonna get root rot at the bottom. So it's more about the entire thing. I like, again, nursery pots with tons of drainage holes. And I like to be able to pull and see where are my roots and what is going on. I'm a fan of bottom watering, I'm a fan of top watering, whatever works for you, works for me. Here's how we water at the garden shop. We let things get as dry as possible until there's a plant symptom that we don't wanna see, sad plant, okay? Let it get as dry as possible, and when we water, we drown them. We call it deep and meaningful watering. So every inch of the soil is completely stopping wet. Then we let it drain completely, and then wait as long as we can to water it again. For some plants, that's once a week. For the most plants that say once a week, if you water it really well, it's actually every 12 days waterer. For For the ones that they say water every 2 weeks, if you water it really well, you can wait 3. And then for things like snake plants, we just water them on major holidays. Like, it works, as long as you skip New Year's. Thanksgiving, Christmas, skip New Year's, Valentine's Day, it works, St. Patrick, like, Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works, and so if it wants to be a meaningful dry period, leave it alone, leave it alone. Plants take a lot of energy, houseplants take a lot of energy to take a big drink. And when they do that, they want a big drink. And that is going to be much more consistent, and this is again why I don't like the ice cubes, it's such a small amount of water. And yes, it slowly gets in there. The reason that's important and the reason that became popular, maybe is the way I should say it, is because yes, plants want a dry period, but what happens is when they get very dry, is the soil compacts. And you get that ring around the pot, and so then you water it, and you're like, the water came right out of the bottom. We must not need water. When really it's more like the soil at this point is acting like the old crusty sponge in your sink. How when the water first hits it, it just bounces off. And all of a sudden it uptakes somewhere and it's nice and full and lush. Soil is oddly similar to that. So if you have a plant, again, like one of these fake plants that has gotten that dry, that's why we like to give them a big drink. Put them in the sink with a stopper and let it drip from the bottom, let it drip from the top, because it does take a minute for that super dry soil to let it take in. But if you let the soil dry out enough, you're gonna get much bigger, much thicker, much healthier, happier roots. In general, you don't water as much in the winter. That's because a lot of our plants have figured out it's winter because there's just less light, so they're not growing as quickly, which means they're not drinking as much. Also, simultaneously, your air gets drier, so maybe it's evaporating faster. This is where it's like the most inconsistent advice because everybody's house is so different. So you just have to, once your heater is on, have all your plants again. See how they react to the situation and then just address it accordingly. Yes,
And what about those things that like they're balls and they turn over and
Yeah.
slowly water the plants?
So the balls that turn over that slowly water plants is our question. What about those? They're great to rehydrate a plant or to, save your skin while you're on vacation. But you don't want most plants. There are a handful that like soggy conditions, but most plants don't want a consistent feed of water. So if when you use that thing, you've watered and you've added, you're using it for an intentional reason, I'm all for it. Same opinion on self-watering pots. If you know what you're doing with a self-watering pot, by all means. If you don't know what that means, don't use them. Because they just cause bugs. They're in it, and they sound so helpful. Now, if you're using them properly, they are. But most people don't. They leave water in the bottom the whole time. But the plant does not want to continue to drink. Just like you. You can't drink all the time. You need it when you're thirsty. What other plant questions can I answer?
Okay,
Yes.
I have used the moisture stick.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, because I'll think, oh, it's really dry on top, but when I put it down there, it says moist.
Yes.
That helps. Okay, gnats. Now, I was told to put pebbles, little decorative little, in the soil, and that'll keep,
On the top.
Yes,
Yeah.
on top.
That's fun. Okay, let's talk about gnats real quick, because everybody's about to deal with it.
Please.
Yeah.
How do you get-
First thing she said, moisture meter. I love a moisture
I do
meter.
too.
On Wednesday night, literally at the garden shop, we have a class called How Dry is Too Dry, and what comes with it is a moisture meter.
I love it.
And the entire thing is about how, and I also love them because again, not to toot my own horn about all my great ideas about keeping things in the nursery pot. But you can shove a moisture stick up the bottom too.
Oh.
So when you have a big plant, because your moisture meters are only 12 inches long. And that is not as deep as a 10, 12, 14-inch pot. So if you just dig up your plant, shove a moisture meter at the bottom, you'll know what's going on.
Okay,
You remember that.
that's really good.
Do you also, if you don't like to buy things, if you like to do things like what do we have around the house way, you can do that with a chopstick. Think of it more like you're testing a
Oh, yeah.
toothpick into a cake. I overthink that situation. The chopstick thing does not work for me. So I'm like, I don't know if this is wet. I don't, it's too, but some people get good at it. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, a moisture meter, we sell a ton of them. I love them. Yes.
And the gnats.
And the gnats. Gnats have the longest life cycle.
Oh,
Gnats live in multiple, we're gonna spend 5 minutes on gnats. Are you ready? Okay. First, you have to kill the adults and the larvae. You have to. Because if you see a gnat flying around, it's already like millions of babies. That's not accurate, but tons, okay? They love your houseplant soil. It's a wonderful ground for gnats. The moment it gets cold outside, all the bugs come in, but especially the gnats. Fungal gnats, mealybugs, thrips, spider mites, and that's it. All come home on your produce. All of them come home on your produce. They all come home on your pet. They all come home on your body. It is a part of life, but it's real bad with your produce. So obviously, I want you to buy all your plants above their garden shop. I know that's not gonna happen. But if you are buying your plants somewhere that's not a nursery, I would just be very aware of how close it's sitting to the produce. Because you're gonna be, your odds of bringing bugs home has just increased. Incidentally, also, larger grocery stores sometimes ship their houseplants with their floral, which is chilled. So what we do is we grow these plants to this beautiful lushness in these perfect greenhouses. We feed them the cheeses out of them. They look amazing. We chill them. We put them out of produce, and they live 3 months in your house, and then they're so dead because you were set up for failure. In so many ways. Now, that's not always the shipping case, and there's no way anyone in any of these stores is going to tell you if they can on their refrigerator talking about, but just things to keep in mind. Fungal gnats hide and they travel on everything. You have to kill the adults. You can kill the adults with those yellow sticky traps. You can kill the adults with those Vivo plugins in the blue light things. You can kill the adults with 70% isopropyl alcohol. So like your first aid kit alcohol, kills most bugs on contact, just so you know. So every plant person should just go buy one. They're like $1.39 and keep it at CVS, the one that sprays. Yeah, it's so easy. The alcohol, like go to the first aid aisle and get the spray alcohol. It's great.
Oh, good.
The problem with fungal gnats specifically is they lay so many babies. That is where the pebbles on the top of your soil come into play. It does encourage them to find a different place to lay. So it does not encourage them to go to your plant. And then some of those rocks are kind of like gravelly, which would scratch the larva as it comes up. That's where like diatomaceous earth does. You know, it scratches and kills the babies, if you will. There's also ways to kill them with like hydrogen peroxide and stuff. I get freaked out by too many first aid kits on my plants. Personally, I've just died of pesticides, but I'm like half a hippie. Like I'm a bit of a hippie. I love native plants, but I also like feed my kids McDonald's sometimes. You know what I mean? And like, so like sometimes I just want to kill bugs. And I don't go the just route. Sometimes I do. I want you to do whatever you're comfortable with. But we have an organic pest control that we sell at the garden shop. I love it because you can put it in a spray bottle. You can also put it in your watering can. And a lot of them aren't made for your watering can, but the watering can is the only way you can treat your soil of the bugs that have laid their babies in your soil. So I'll add my organic insecticide, but it is a killer, to every watering can. When I do plant installs in businesses, they have no option. It comes with the pesticide. Because all these different people working, bringing all this different food and bugs. And it gets bad quick. So every single watering can gets a swoosh of it. Preventing is always easier than killing. It takes 45 days to get rid of fungal gnats. You also need to check any of your pea traps in your sink, especially if you don't use them very often. Or floor drains that don't really drain. Like we have one in my pantry. They're often in a basement. The floor drain that has a little bit of water in it. You know what I'm talking about? No. I don't know. That's not funny to you. Any other words besides that? White vinegar. Get a gallon for $1.30, dump it in there. You can also dump it in bleach, but again, why do bleach when vinegar will work? You know, so your white vinegar will kill that. In the transition season into winter, which is right now, you have to be proactive with pests. They're all coming inside with the mice and everything else. So go get a thing of white vinegar, pour it in every single sink you have. If you have an infestation, you can do the whole baking, so squirt it on dish soap, baking soda, white vinegar, plug up your sink, and it'll push everything out. That's a great way to get fungal gnats out of your drain pipes. And then you can spray power wash Dawn dish soap, the one that goes, you know what I'm talking about? If it's real bad, you can mist the top of your soil with that as well. But you better mean it, and then If you overdo it, you have soapy plant and that is just, so that's not to get the pesticide, man, like it's worse. So, but you have to kill the babies and the adults. If you don't kill both, you will have fungal gnats for 12 months of every year. For the most part, that's the same story with mealybugs, spider mites, everything, just fungal gnats, flat. We do a whole class on plant pests. But that kind of works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions? Yes, Linda.
Name of the product that you put in the water and can.
The name is Arbor,
ARVOR.
ARVER. The yellow one, we sell at the garden shop. There's also more like, we also sell, the dead bug brew, Dr. Jack's, but the one, you see that everywhere. I love it, it's a great product, but you don't water with it. It's a spray, you spray the leaves, you spray everything, but I'm not gonna, it's so expensive, I would never like dump it into my plant either. So the only way I found to successfully kill larvae without using a neonic, which that's a whole different story in houseplants, but is the arbor, that actually works. I hate neem oil. I hate it so much. I just do. If you love it, you keep loving it. The reason I hate it is if you have neem oil on a plant and it gets really bright sun, it burns it. You can't use neem oil on anything outside, and it smells. Awful. And it's not any more effective than an insecticidal soap. So if you're like, Paula, I'm never gonna use an insecticide. That is not going to happen. Then get an insecticidal soap. It is basically like a light mixture of soapy water made for houseplants. The other way you can get rid of pests, if you want to be 100% clean about it, it's a lot of wiping. Guys, honestly, like microfiber towel, warm water, wiping the pests off, and spray alcohol. If you stay on top of it, that's all you need. But if you get an infestation, the situation is a little dire. If you have a plant where if you touch the top of the soil, like if you just like touch it like this, and you literally see fungal gnats everywhere, you need to take it outside and just scoop off the top 4 inches of soil and throw it away. Throw it away. Do not cook it and reuse it like the internet tells you to do. Just throw it away outside and replace it and then treat it as such. In addition, when we repot plants, like if you were to bring a plant to me and I would repot it for you, any of the soil that falls away or that we intentionally remove either becomes compost or garbage. We do not put it in our clean potting soil mix. It is no longer clean. If you're storing potting soil, I store it in a plastic bin with a lid that is opaque. So not clear. Because clear is just a greenhouse for fungus. So like a colored Tupperware would be a little easier. Any other questions?
Okay, one more.
Yeah.
So I have this aloe plant
Ah.
that I can't even lift it. And
Yeah.
My husband, so there's no way I can lift it to give it a deep watering.
Sure.
Which you don't have to water very often anyway.
But when you water,
But we
water
have
up.
huge plants.
Here's how you do it.
Yeah.
So you don't make a mess.
Yeah.
You give it a sip, come back. You give it a sip,
Okay.
come back. You give it a sip, come back. So you're slowly give it a sip, and then finally it'll be capable of receiving a drink.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You just, you flirt with it a little.
okay.
But I wouldn't put ice cubes on it, because it's aloe's really, really topical, yeah. The ice cube is just about a slow drink. It's just clear too cold.
I know, I was
Yeah.
just waiting to make.
No, I'm good, yeah. Any more questions? And I can like hang out and talk to you. Yeah.
Good suggestion for Christmas and Thanksgiving cactus.
Yes, Christmas and the Thanksgiving cactus are tropical cactus. So there's desert cactus and a tropical cactus. They're in the tropical cactus family. And they still enjoy a deep meaningful dry period. They like really tight feet. That's why you see these insanely huge cactuses and like, oh, this. So what? So for the most part, don't repot them very often. Now they can get big, don't get me wrong. They also, so they look like bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay, so their little bloop area, that's where they grow their new roots. So you can literally, if you want like 1 million of them, just like let it lay, otherwise you'll just have millions of baby plants, was the word moderator didn't come up with. Are they successfully blooming for you? No. Here, there. So there's like a dark period that it wants. I have to Google the time frame because it's not in my brain at the moment. But it wants nice bright light, then it wants a darker situation for it to bloom properly. In addition, just so you all know, the professional growers We feed plants heavily, heavily. Most houseplant people don't feed their plants. You should be feeding your plant. Like a nice smart tea or a foliage builder. Your cactus that blooms, your peace lilies, your anthuriums, your blooming indoor plants must have a bloom builder fed to it. Now, sometimes you've been lucky that one was a granular inside of the soil it currently has, and it bloomed pretty great for you, and it all of a sudden stopped. It needs food, it needs, you don't have to re-soil it if you feed the soil. The soil will absorb the foods. Yes,
Back to the Christmas cactus, how do you, what's the dark period, how long?
I need to Google it real quick, because I'm gonna say it wrong if I say it out loud, and I've spoken with such confidence, you'll believe me. So I don't wanna say it wrong. It is, it's because I think it's about nowish, you're supposed to put it dark for a little bit, but I'll hang out and look it up, so I don't say it wrong, and let it out.
Well, one of the advantages of neem oil is supposed to be that it doesn't stay on the plant very long. It's over and double, and it doesn't, therefore, doesn't get all beneficial.
So there are very few beneficial bugs indoors unless you literally let like swings out. Yeah, so that's, it is an indoor plant person. It's just so smelly. You're an outdoor plant guy. Now, if you're using neem oil outdoors, it does go away quickly. Insecticidal soaps do as well. And insecticidal soaps don't, have the possibility of the burn. So if you're good at your neem oil and you're wiping it properly, you're like using it and loving it, don't change anything. But if it's like a new gardener, it's not the tool I hand people first because there's a lot of mistakes. It is. Insecticidal soap, she's for make your own. Yes, ma'am.
A Christmas cactus, do you ever trim it or?
I was a hairdresser for 20 years, so I trim everything. So you, y'all, I do, because I want it, it's for, these plants are for my pleasure. So if I want it to look a certain way, I'm gonna cut at it. But if you're just like, let's see how big you can get, that's your choice. It's your choice. But the bits of it fall off all the time. So it wants to trim.
It doesn't make any difference, like if you really cut it back.
If it's getting bald headed looking, you should be trimming it more. If it is just lush and beautiful, no, life is time.
Cause it doesn't make it, bloom.
It's not like a hydrangea.
No.
It would all, but no. Great question.
Thank you.
Thoughtful. Yes.
Do you feed the houseplants year round or do you give it a rest?
So we don't use synthetic fertilizers. That's like drinking a Red Bull. Okay, that's made for mums and annuals. Just Red Bull them, they get this big life and then they go away and it's fine. But houseplants don't really love that. So a foliage builder, because most of our houseplants are run from foliage. I'll do spring, summer. I can do it all year, but mostly spring, summer, winter, and fall. If I have grow lights and all the things, my plants are still growing, I'm gonna keep feeding it. A smart tea, that's more like a Flintstone vine. You know, all year, all the time, because you're just keeping your soil really happy.
I had a question for Zoom.
Yes.
Karen says she's got a peace lily that she's had for 7 years, hasn't done a thing to it other than water it. It's in a nursery pot inside a cover pot. It tends to be quite dramatic, but peace lilies are. Should I consider repotting it? What should I look for to see if it's a good idea to either repot it in the same pot or increase the size of it?
Okay, peace lilies are real jerks. So if you're choosing to, because it said that they still get root bound, they get too tight. I'll talk to the Zoom lady that asked. So if you are choosing to repot your peace lily, hands off. So you're gonna have, let's say it's in a 10-inch pot, you're just gonna move it to a 12. So let it get a little bit dry, so the soil sticks together when you pull it out of the pot. You want it to stick together like this. You want a lump of plant, okay? If it's huge, get a friend to help. But you want to stick it just like this. And then here's the trick. So this is my previous pot. So I have, this is a 4-inch, 4.5, so I'm gonna move it to a 6. Okay, so I take my empty pot that I just took my plant out of, I put maybe a 1/2 inch of soil on the bottom, and I put this right in there. I fill everything up with soil. This pot, everything around it, thud, you don't press, just shake it in there. And then go wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Pull this out. And then you just take this plant and just drop it in and then back away. Peace lilies will freak out if you mess with their roots too much. And they're very dramatic plants. And then we have a root builder that I like to feed when you're replanting. Those are really great for transplanting tiny, tiny things into your veggie garden. Encourage that root burst. I would, if your pencil is not blooming, do a bloom builder. For sure, but yeah, only replant your peace lily when there's no other option, and when you do, back away slowly. I don't recommend, they're not ones that do that, they can split, but they're just so dramatic.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And they're often given as bereavement plants, which is so neat. Here's something that's going to be really dramatic. Same with the prayer plants, this, by the way, is a really cool plant. This is the plant that got me into houseplants. I will pass it around because it's just the neatest leaf pattern. It's got a network leaf, yeah, and it looks like a computer grid on the top of the leaf. And that's what got me into houseplants. So, any other questions? We're good. I'm gonna look up the Christmas cactus things. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order. This next on the list is Veronica. You know the drill, the last minutes, we had October. We're in the last newsletter. Any additions or corrections that need to be made? Don't see any.
Okay.
Does anybody want to approve it? Maybe, anybody want to approve it? Sally, right? People's names down in a second. Judy. Oh, Judy, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. All right, next on our list is Michael.
You have to stand up and lift the hour something.
That's what they told me.
Okay, okay, we started off with $25,538 beginning of the month. We had a pretty good collection month. The Lindbergh team got a $500 donation from the Beckham Bird Society over in Louisville. And got $50 otherwise. We started collecting some dues. We got $810 for dues. I separated the mailing, the charge for people that want their monthly newsletters mailed to them, so that was $65. The farmers market, they have a collection bucket all season, so the whole season total $246. Interest was $35. Our Kroger Community Reward quarterly was $72. We did collect $1,000 donation from the foundation arm of Indiana City Water. That's for the pollinator day for 2026. Half of it for that and half of it for 2027. We sold one t-shirt. I don't think that's our last one, but we sold one. We sold some cookbooks, so that's Tomato Festival. The total receipts was about $2,900. We started getting a lot more expenses this time of year from all the different projects we got going, but anyhow, newsletter expense, that's the quarterly bill we get from the news office to send out the newsletter, 67. Office and printing, we got basically a mailbox put into Purdue's office, so people that come by and want to leave mail or anything, it goes into that and it's locked and everything. That's a one-time charge. Pete Carrot and best way to explain that for anybody that's new, that is basically an advocacy group of volunteers that meet periodically with like Purdue and state legislators to let them know what our concerns in our area are. So if you want to look it up, just type in Purdue and then Carrot, and you can learn a little bit about that. Okay, pollinator expenses. This is for 2026, so it's kind of turned into a year-round, project. So $404 for that. Programs, that's our speakers, fees, was $100. The Bluebird Trails, and all these groups collectively, I won't go through everybody, but it was about $2,700 for the whole month. There's a few of the projects that still owe some expenses, so they know where they are. And for everybody else that's turning your expenses in, I appreciate it, it helps out. It's getting down towards the bottom. I think that's pretty well it, so collected $2,902, paid out $2,951. That's really good for the month of October, so we ended up just about where we started with for the month. And year to date, we're about the same, so we're holding our own and all like that. Any questions about the expenditure, income expense? Okay, good. Let's see. I got a correction to the September board meeting minutes. I didn't catch the draft. I didn't read it correctly, so it leads to appear that SMG gave $1,000 to the pollinator, day. What it is the board agreed to lend money like a line of credit to be paid back. So we didn't give money to Pollinator Day at this point. It was a loan because the expenses are starting to come in and the grant money and donation money sometimes lags. So it's intended to balance out at the end of the event. Any questions on that? Good. Let's see. The dues are coming in, appreciate everybody, I think everybody here in person is probably already paid. So again, end of the month they're due. After that, there's an extra $10 at pay. Let's see.
Holiday dinner, which we've already talked about.
Holiday dinner, you already talked about. And I think I've covered everything. Any questions? Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
I got it. There you go.
Well, just a reminder, so your membership dues can be dropped off at the Purdue Extension Office from 8 to 4 in that box that's right inside. I did talk to Sarah, if you forgot or neglected to bring your membership form, they have pre-printed ones there. You just have to ask somebody in the office to give you one because they have it in a folder. So, because I know if you're like me, sometimes I walk out the door without my form or whatever, so they have them there for you to drop off your payment. And, or you can mail it, and again, the address is 3000 Technology Avenue. I think I put it in a couple different things, but it's the Purdue office. They're now gonna be receiving our mail because we're gonna be closing out that box. Because of the cost, it's just prohibited. It just doesn't make sense for us to spend that much money on a PO box for the little bit amount of mail that we receive. So we're gonna start using Purdue's and save our money that way. Is that good? Okay, next is Seed Savers. Debbie.
Oh, it's for pollinator day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for pollinator day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, but we'll do seed savers too, just, quickly, if you do have any seeds or seed savers, that's also a big thing. Get them into the office and let me know they're there and I'll pick them up. Our team will work really hard the next couple of months of getting them all cleaned. I think a lot of you tonight have brought seeds. We're gonna be very busy for a couple of months, so thank you. So then on to pollinator shout outs. First of all, I'd just like to thank everyone here that has participated in the shout out program over the last 11 years. What we do, we collect monetary donations. We'll be collecting at the holiday party and again in March and April meetings when we'll be here in person. The money that we collect from you guys is SMG's way to support Pollinator Day, which will be April 25th up to 2026. The combined collected funds at these meetings will be SMG's shout out for pollinators and will be noted at the event on the signage for that. Our Pollinator Day team is already busy working on new information boards. And we've ordered the trees from State Nursery to give away at Pollinator Day. We're pre-assembling kits, for like the hummingbird feeders and bat rockets and lots of other things. We're buying the supplies for these and all the other activities and games that are planned for Pollinator Day. We are trying to be ahead of the game this year and avoid the last minute rush. So your donations are greatly appreciated and help out a lot with this process. They can also be mailed to the Purdue office or dropped off at the Purdue office. And again, I will be at the holiday dinner and March and April meeting if anyone has a donation for us. Thanks.
Okay, and then Elizabeth, did you want to talk about the wreath making class?
Oh, yeah.
Come on over, come on up, come on down.
I'll go eat. Thank you. It's almost close.
All right. Sorry, I was not here last month. I had an incident, the spiders won, okay? Now, make a holiday wreath the first Saturday in December. Yes, it's back to its original time. 3 classes starting at 9 a.m., second at 11, third at 1. No, I don't know how many people have signed up. Jen hasn't returned my email. I will let you know. Now, we have many great volunteers who have already signed up. Thank you so much. Greenery. We are in need of greenery. We are always in need of greenery. We can never have too much. For instance, spruce, cedar, pine, boxwood, holly, juniper, magnolia. People love magnolia. Not a fan. Red sweet dogwood, love. Winterberry, blueberry, love color. Dried materials, dried ornamental grasses, flowers, pine cones, herbs. People love that. Seed pods, seed heads, cattails. Also rose hips, okay? Something different. Magnolia seed pods are fantastic. But if you get them with the little red berries sticking out, those berries fall out very fast. I've already figured that one out, okay? The spray varnish is your friend, make sure it's clear. Moss, acorns. For those of you who have oak trees, you're going to have lots and lots of acorns this year, okay? Feathers, all right? Anything that is basically from nature, we need. If you need help, if you have something that needs to be trimmed, please contact me. We have people that are willing to go and to your house, to your neighbor's house, trim, get the stuff the week of, because we want it as fresh as possible. Yes, we will be able to drop off the greenery the day before, Friday, at the, Clark County Fairgrounds, outside of the community room, right at the loading dock. If you have any questions, please contact me. I will return text messages and phone calls. I never carry my phone with me. Sorry, I'm not one of those people. I do respond to emails. Any questions? Yes, Lisa.
If you're gonna give feathers, get them from a domestic bird, because you can't select wild birds under the 5 square birds.
Correct. So they have to be domesticated birds. All right.
We don't want to get Purdue in trouble.
We do not want to get Purdue in trouble. We want to keep Purdue happy with us.
Karen,
Karen,
since you said you have people that will come and collect stuff,
yes.
see before you leave and come to Speed Park and do whatever you need to do.
We love that. And that reminds me, I did talk to Matt Dennison. That was top on my list. I skipped right down to the bottom. Matt Dennison, who's the superintendent of Floyd County Parks, He has given us access to the Gary Cavan Park in Georgetown. We can go and carefully get greenery, okay, from the park. All right, that means carefully. We don't do hack jobs. All right, it's like we were never there. And we leave with bags of great stuff, like juniper with berries, which is always a great big hit. Okay? The only thing that, besides greenery, we need door prizes. If you are a jelly maker, if you've got extra gardening stuff, you don't know what to do with, we're a gardening group. We should have gardening stuff as door prizes. All right? People love edible stuff. All right? The older we get, we don't want stuff. We want consumables. Right? Uh-huh. Stuff gathers dust. Consumables make our bellies happy. Yes. Any other questions? Please contact me, talk to me. If you know any place we can get pine, spruce, or juniper, or cedar, and magnolia, because people love that. Okay, just let me know. Hemlock is beautiful. I love those little tiny pine cones are adorable. See, there's so much stuff out there. Okay. All right, I'm not taking any more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good stuff. You're next. Dun, 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 dun.
So I'm happy to announce that we have a full slate of officers. Shelley Salewski for president, Veronica Wright as VP, Mike Rodfield for treasurer, Debbie Cover as secretary, community outreach is Jean Wolf, programs technology liaison is Barb Brewster, and executive board member is Diane Willing. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Okay, can I have a motion to accept the slate by acclamation? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, on behalf of the membership, I'd like to thank everybody for stepping up. This organization is a big organization, and for the officers, from experience, I know it can be one headache after another, so we really need to give them our gratitude. And next year, we're gonna have a large turnover, so it's not too soon to start thinking about if it's your time to step up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, then the last thing, I just have a bunch of thingamajigs that we need to talk about. One of the things is, every year we print off all these discount cards, and as you can see, it is November, and see how many more I still have that people have not picked up. It costs us money to do this, and time and effort, so we have made the decision that we are no longer gonna be printing these. If you want one, you can go to the office and Sarah will print you off a business card shaped one that you can take to the nurseries that we do get discounts at. Most of the nurseries that we already have discounts with, they know us. They have you on a list. So a lot of times you just have to give them your name, and then they'll check the list. But again, we're trying to make our money stretch towards the things that make sense to us. And because so many people haven't picked them up, it just doesn't make sense for us to print these things. So, again, but you can still get it if you use it, then you just have to go to the office and get one, okay? Let's see, next on the list. I already mentioned that Lisa has signups for the upcoming class that's in the back where Barb is sitting. Let's see here. Please record your hours. I don't know when Sarah's gonna send this out or Gina, but, those of you who have not completed your volunteer hours may be getting an email. There's a lot of opportunities, and again, one of them is for Elizabeth at the end of the year to get some more hours, as well as Lisa sends out for educational hours in case you've missed a meeting or you need any educational hours, you can always watch the online classes. Gina will be sending out a survey. I have not gotten one yet. Has anybody else? Yeah, she's been really busy and she's gonna be out of the office again for the next week, so that should be coming here shortly. a reminder that Mike already talked about dues. Did we have cookbooks here today?
Yes, about one.
Okay, good. We have a couple left. Again, doing great Christmas gift. So if you're looking for an inexpensive Christmas gift or someone who loves to cook, or maybe someone who's new at cooking, might give them some good ideas. Connie, this is the last call for
Very last call.
plant tags.
Send out emails to all of you. This is it. So if you want plant markers or tags, you better let me know this evening.
Please, and are you ever gonna let us know what they look like?
It was attached and I will show you. I will. You did. Well, it was attached.
So we are ordering plant tags for all the projects that are out there, because inevitably plant tags age, people take them, you know, there's all kinds of things. And again, part of our group is education. So we like to have our plants identified at the parks and such where we are at. So, obviously, we get a larger discount the more we order. So Connie did a great job of reaching out to all the project manager or the project heads so that we can get a large order put in, and then we'll keep some on hand as well. We talked about at the board meeting where Gina said we could keep a few on hand.
Comes out of your budget.
It does come out of your budget, but again, they're inexpensive.
Yeah.
They're-
25 per bundle, about $35, but if we buy extra, it'll be less than that.
It'll be less, so yes. And just a reminder, so you'll get an email regarding the holiday party. Once we get all the particulars, Barb will get all the particulars and we'll figure out what we're doing there. January and February will be Zoom only. I just talked to Lisa prior to the meeting, and the Zoom link will be the same next year. So just as a reminder, because I know a lot of people had trouble this year for some reason, I don't know why. But the Zoom link is the same every single month. It never changes. So I try to remember to put it in the email when I sent it, but it's also always on the agenda. Yes.
And there's a link on the website.
And there is a link on the website as well. So that if you have any opportunities or places to find one, someone was telling me today, I think, I don't remember who, it was Nita. And that she couldn't get it from the agenda, but I was able to, because I was in Michigan in August. So sometimes I don't know if it's, I'm not an IT person, so I'm just not really good at it, but just keep trying, and that's why I've tried to send out a lot of additional information in regards to Zoom to kind of help those who struggle.
It's probably a cloud in the sky, is why you couldn't.
Exactly right, Judy. I agree. Yeah, there's, yeah. Other than that, that's all I got. Does anybody have any questions?
What's the time?
What's the times, Veronica? Please share.
1 hour for training,
1 hour for training,
half hour for business.
half hour for business, so 0.5. 0.5 is how you register it on there. And again, please put that on there. I can't tell you how important that is for Gina. That she puts in her budget, that helps her to get more funds. She's showing to her, especially with all the cuts that they've had lately. I mean, this really helps her to keep her budget, to keep her office people who actually do a lot for us. There's a lot that Sarah and Gina do that we don't have to, and so I can't even tell you how important it is. That's it. Do I have a call? Door prize. Well, let's adjourn the meeting, and then those who want to go can go. Thank you, Judy. Judy made a motion to adjourn. Second. Sally, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, thank you. And thank you for being so neat. It looks like I may not have to back.